odds market.
I'm Dave Best.
Session. This is Theo Goodman.
All the tools to be among that few that win.
I'm Stuart from Tipster HQ.
My name's Jay Baglia.
Taking the best price in the market.
Hey guys, Javier.
Some call it gambling.
Here to bring you the best political betting tips.
It's the booming industry of professional gaming.
Odds Market, Sports Bet Daily.
Bankroll management over at Odds Market.
Oddsmarket.com. We are Oddsmarket.
Watch us.
Let me introduce Ed Hawkins. How are you doing? IPL still as crazy as it was when we last spoke. Obviously, there was
Possibly even more crazy, Natalie. Things are happening which are barely believable, and we'll go on to talk about that in the Sunrisers Delhi preview. But you probably want me to start spouting off about Chennai and Mumbai, which is a big clash tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know actually where I want you to start spouting off. The first thing, obviously, there has been obviously the take about the mancading. What is your? It's kind of like the news. Is that what you were what you were sort of going to say? I don't know. We've got Martin Green. He's sort of our news correspondent, and he's been doing sort of news pieces. Ed Hawkins over at Odds Market covers all the daily matches and gives us tips. And what is going on with that? Can you bring us up to speed?
Mancading is basically cheating, I think. Anyway, it's against the spirit of the game. It's essentially running somebody out with running out the batsman when they're not really trying to score or steal a run. It happened in the Kings 11 Rajasthan game, and it actually swung the game Kings 11's way because they got out Jos Buttler, and Jos Buttler was about to win Rajasthan the game. And it affected Rajasthan for a couple of games, but they've got back on track. Today they've won their first game. They've beaten Royal Challengers Bangalore, who have now lost 4 in a row, and they've got Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, two of the greatest batsmen to ever have played the game in their team, and lots of people scratching their heads about how poor Royal Challengers Bangalore have been so far this season. But 'twas ever thus, Natalie. They're an appallingly short-priced team. They've always been poorly priced. And if you'd been laying them down the years, as I think I said in the preview the other day, you'd probably have a yacht on the Med by now. They're one of the greatest punting strategies of all time, laying RCB.
Yeah. Have you been doing that, Ed? Are you getting close to your yacht?
Nowhere near, Natalie. I've got 2 children and a wife who has an Amazon Prime habit.
Oh well, at least it's keeping that funded. So what are you looking at? Obviously, one thing that you mentioned obviously was the coin toss, and in your articles, a lot is sort of leaning towards a top batsman, top bowler. Is that the case? So which one do we want to start with? I'm guessing tomorrow's match there, which is Mumbai versus Chennai.
It's a big game because these are the 2 big hitters in IPL history. I know it's a short history, but these are the 2 big franchises, and they're the most successful franchises. And they've produced some really close games down the years and some really memorable games. And strangely enough, although Chennai are the holders and they're looking very, very good for a back-to-back title this season, Mumbai have actually got the wood on Chennai. They've won more head-to-heads. They've got 13 wins, and Chennai have won 11. So this could be a really cracking game tomorrow. But I think if you're going to be having a bet on it, you'll want to be aware of that coin toss, which you mentioned just a second ago. There's a 62% bias, 61 to 62% bias for the chaser at the Mumbai ground. And listen, if Chennai win the toss, they're going to chase. Okay. And they must be approaching about 85% win rate when chasing now over this season and last season. So I wouldn't want to be against Chennai if they were batting second. Mumbai have had real significant problems with their bowling this season as well. They're one of the worst performing bowling units. And that's going to take time to get right. Now, you might argue they've got Jason Behrendorff, the Australian fast bowler, who's going to come back into their lineup. He should come back into the 11, and that gives them added strength. But it's a big ask for him to come in and perform straight away. because he's just got off a plane from the UAE because he's been involved in Australia's one-day tour against Pakistan. So it might take him a couple of games to get up to speed. So it's probably not a reason to discount that poor Mumbai bowling unit form. And also, I've got major problems with their batting lineup at numbers 4 and 5. I think they've got issues there. Yuvraj Singh and Kieran Pollard are just getting too old to be striking at the sort of rates they need to be. In their last defeat against Kings 11, they were really poor, those two, and they probably cost them the game because they were just too slow. And that was their second defeat of the season. They've won 2 out of 3. The only team they've beaten is Bangalore, and it was a bit of a tight game, that one. And considering how poor Bangalore have been, the Mumbai form is not really holding up at the moment. And as I said, they've got selection issues. And the bookies are struggling to split these two. And I think a lot of people will think, well, because Chennai are so strong, and they've been so consistently strong, they don't appear to have a weakness this season, then if Betfair are going 5 to 6, Chennai, or I think you can get 10 to 11 with Ladbrokes, that's a good price about Chennai. I don't think this should be close to a choice affair. I think there's a gulf here.
Okay.
I think Chennai is a decent bet.
And if they win the coin toss, or even now, do you think will those price basically as soon as that coin has been tossed? Do you think that those prices then just like plummet way down?
Yeah, I mean Chennai are going to shorten up pretty dramatically. I think if they're going to chase.
Okay.
So you have to bear that in mind. Look, Chennai are value. They're pure value by the letter of the law. Chennai are a great value bet at 10 to 11 Ladbrokes now because of the importance of the coin toss. There's nothing wrong with taking that bet now because we know they're going to get cut if they do chase. But if even in the first 6 overs, Mumbai could well start strongly and their price will come up again.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind. If you're able to get sort of around about that sort of 10 to 11 price in running like 1.9 around that area, Chennai, with the chase in their favour, that's still a strong bet.
Yeah. And interesting as well, just looking at the, we have a tool on Odds Market, it's odds comparison here for the match. The line actually opened on Chennai at 1.75. You can now get as high as 1.9 with Unibet, 1.9 with BetClick, and 1.8 with Bet365. So a little bit of difference there. And it's interesting to see, though, that it seems that the money has gone on. Mumbai Indians started at 2.2, now is 2 to 1.95 to 1.9.
Yeah, I think around 1.8, Chennai was probably right. 1.75 is a bit short, but 1.8 would be about where I'd have it for this line.
Okay.
So I can understand why people have come for Mumbai at 2.2, but it's come the other way now. The flip flop is close, and I think there'll be a lot of money for Chennai now once people start to look at those prices now that the games are out of the way today. And I mean, it's interesting. We're going to talk about Sunrisers v Delhi now. Mm-hmm. And that's a game which the bookmakers are struggling to split the two again. And I can't understand some of the numbers there. I think it's 5 to 6 even money, Sunrisers Delhi.
Yeah,
and
again,
I would have Sunrisers as clear favourites for this game. Because Delhi, the confidence in Delhi in the market now should be at an all-time low after their awful performance last time out, when they lost 7 wickets for 8 runs. They were absolutely home and hosed against Kings 11 Punjab. The game was over. 1.101 shot which went down, and it's just hard to have any faith in them again now in the tournament. I know we're saying this after like barely 2 weeks, but it was such an appalling performance that there is no confidence in Delhi now out there in the markets, and I'm really surprised that the Layers are struggling to split these two teams.
Yeah. When we obviously first spoke, so we're just over a week into the tournament now, and you were you were focusing on obviously on other bets. Now it seems to move to the outrights of the tournament. Is that because we've been able to see a little bit of the teams, and it's almost a little bit the same with sort of tennis? Sometimes sort of outright betting likes to sort of wait a little bit before, just to see how people enter the tournament. Has that been your case?
Yeah, I think that's right. It has settled down, and it's settled down to the status quo, which is something punters absolutely love. We want to know what we believe to be true, to be shown to be true in the matches. So Sunrisers and Chennai were vying for favourite position, and they appear to be the two best sides at the moment. Mumbai have started poorly. They were vying for second or third favouritism with some layers, and they have started sloppily and slowly. But that is the status quo. That is how Mumbai start. They've always been a sluggish starter in this tournament. And other sides like Royal Challengers Bangalore, as I mentioned earlier, they've lost 4 in a row now. I think it's 5 if you go back to last season. That is entirely consistent with their IPL form. Since it started, they have been a consistent letdown. Rajasthan are doing 1 win out of 4, and that's a shame for them because they really need to start quickly, because they're going to lose a whole raft of their players once the World Cup squads start going away to prepare for that tournament, which is at the end of May. They're going to lose Joss Buttler, who top scored for them, and I hate to say that they're a one-man team, but if Buttler doesn't perform, Rajasthan don't perform. So they've got some struggles on. Delhi, I mentioned, are incredibly inconsistent. Went off like a rocket with a great win against Mumbai, appalling against Kings 11. They also threw away a winning position against Kolkata in almost identical circumstances, with a terrible collapse when they were chasing and they were on course for a win, and they had to go to a super over to get the win. So those two incidents with Delhi just mean that the status quo with them has been reinforced. They're not a side to be trusted. They can't put performances back to back. So punters are probably pretty happy with the way things are going at the moment. It's a bit of a repeat of last season. Sunrisers and Chennai looking the two strongest teams. And if you're on those two teams, great. You'd be very happy, I think.
Is there still value to jump on it now?
Yeah, I think there's still value to jump on Chennai. They're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I just can't see the way they're not going to get to the playoffs, and then they're a win away from the final, probably, because they're going to finish it. I think they're going to win the league, and they've got 1 win away from the final. And if they don't win their playoffs, then they've got another chance in the eliminator. So I think Chennai are still a good bet.
Okay, all right. And okay, so just to wrap up here, you're putting money on the Sunrisers at 1.8, and then Mumbai Indians versus Chennai, taking Chennai Super Kings. And again, if you can get that good price right now, William Hill 1.91. It's literally just gone up from 1.9 to 1.91. Is it going to move a little bit higher? It seems to be moving higher and higher. Should we wait like an hour?
It might creep up a bit more, but I mean, talking about the Sunrisers there, 1.8. That's the price I'd have them at. But you're going to be able to get 5 to 6 with Betfair Sportsbook, I believe. So Sunrisers should be clear favourites for me on that game, and the layers are struggling to put clear water between them when it shouldn't really be that difficult, in my opinion, given what Delhi have done in those last 2 games.
All right, so you've got your betting on the outrights on both the matches. Any other leans or tips that you've got your eye on?
I'd like to be thinking about top bowler market again, and it's difficult to get to grips with that market at the moment because we're seeing players missing out on games. AJ Ty, the top wicket taker last season, didn't start off in the Kings 11 Punjab team. He was delayed in Australia, and he's not had a great start to the tournament. He's been in and out, so there might be a little bit of value there because he's going to be drifting to big numbers now. But no one's really taken the bull by the horns for top bowler market. Sandeep Lamachane, who I am banging on about all day long for top Delhi bowler. He's just the best bowler they've got in terms of strike rate, and by strike rate I mean he takes the fewest number of balls to take wickets, so he doesn't need to bowl as often as his teammates. So he's going to be consistently a good bet to be top Delhi bowler in an individual innings, in an individual match. And we've seen prices around 3-1, 7-2. He's probably going to be around that mark again for this game against the Sunrisers. He was a little bit unfortunate to miss out. We tipped him up in that game against Kings 11, and he was basically in front with just a few overs to go. He had 2 wickets to his name, but he wasn't able to hang on. Chris Morris came back with some late wickets, and he pipped him to it. And that's kind of the problem with Sandeep a little bit, because he rarely bowls at the death where wickets are at their cheapest. We do know he takes more wickets more regularly than any of his teammates, and he should be favourite on the market. So that is one for your notebook. Sandeep Lamachane, when you're ever seeing 3s or 7-2s or any bigger than that, he's going to be value. And he's a little bit unheralded because people have not really heard of him because he's from Nepal. And Kagiso Rabada is a South African international bowler, and Chris Morris is also a South African international bowler. And they're just bigger names. And that is the way some bookmakers price it up sometimes, just because they have heard of them or they've got more marketing deals, Natalie. And as bizarre as that sounds, that's how the markets operate sometimes. People aren't really looking into their strike rates or how often they actually take wickets. So that's another one for your notebook. If you want to work out where the value lies on top bowler markets, go through each individual bowler's strike rate on a website like Cricinfo, and you'll be able to decipher where the value is.
All right. Great information. Ed Hawkins also writes daily cricket articles for us over at Odds Market, and do give him a follow as well at Cricket Betting. Ed Hawkins, an absolute pleasure, and we will check in maybe next week as well, see how everything's going and the tips you have for us. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.